start over again.
No.
Jeez. God.
I just couldn't believe you would say that, Tyler. It's because you had those fireplace Cheetos. Those spicy fireplace Cheetos.
I didn't say anything offensive. I said something really
no,
silly.
Yeah, really dirty. Sexually.
Yeah.
It had to deal with goats. It was fucked up.
Uh-huh. It was a joke.
Yeah, we're fucking with you.
And the punchline was...
to be fair, we don't really normally start with the first take right away.
We usually don't start with the goats fucking first. The first thing we do is we go, let's introduce them.
Yes. You can only see that in Tijuana.
It feels like a long time since we've done an episode, doesn't it?
It's been a week.
But I think it's because...
it feels longer. Yeah,
well, it's because it's later in the day.
And I've been very busy this past week and with work and everything. So.
And I've just been having revelation upon revelation about my...
Oh, my gosh. Going on a musical journey.
Man, it's incredible, man.
Last week we talked about Thor, Love and Thunder, and we talked about The Boys Season 3. So this week we're going to be talking about Miss Marvel. We're also going to be talking about Marvel really starting to get negative press because we had some visual effects artists speak out about how they're treated. We also I just want to kind of open the conversation up about Phase 4 in general because Phase 4 seems to be really divisive, and I don't really understand. I kind of see it on some levels.
I have some thoughts on that
because the further, like you and I were talking about this, and I think maybe it was watching The Boys, and maybe it was just that it's something else. But yeah, I feel like my opinion on those Disney Plus shows has really changed over time. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. First, let's talk about Miss Marvel.
Season 1 recap.
Season 1.
Episode 6
Wait
review.
A minute. Are you thinking that, I don't know. I don't think she's going to get a season 2. I think they're just going to fold her right into the Marvels.
That's fine. If she doesn't need one, then no. Hey, by the way, Disney, while you're listening, no Obi-Wan season 2.
Stop it.
Leave it alone. It was it was fine. Leave it the fuck alone. I feel like the people, before we move on to Miss Marvel, I feel like the people who really don't like Love and Thunder are the same people who just couldn't handle the fact that Homelander's the villain. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't...
Not necessarily, because I know that there are fair criticisms, but it just feels like most of the reasoning behind it is like...
Well, I think there's a large group of those people, but I think Love and Thunder... it's criticism. We'll save this for the MCU discussion, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. Anyway, Miss Marvel, though.
Miss Marvel, yes. I gotta say, having watched this whole season and was actually surprised at how good it was because it does have to stick to an MCU formula,
right?
But it is the most well adapted to that. I think this one works the best with 6 episodes. I think it should have been 8. I think all of them should have been 8.
Yeah.
But I think it works as 6 episodes.
I think we kept hearing about how they found the perfect Miss Marvel and everything, and I don't really know the character that well myself from the comics, but I got to say, the actress they got was really, really, really good.
Yeah.
She brought the right amount of energy. I loved that because I think we talked about this. It was
a good cast all around.
Yeah.
I liked
absolutely. But it snuck up on me, and so I didn't really have that many expectations again because I don't really know the character. I like the character, the idea of the character, and whatnot. When I heard that there was a Muslim superhero, I was like, "That's awesome," But then it snuck up on me, so I'm kind of glad it did because I think I enjoyed it more because I didn't really have. I can't say I had low expectations because that would say I had expectations in general. I didn't.
Well, what's interesting about this show...
But I'm glad I didn't because it really was what a nice breath of fresh air, kind of.
And what I think it works about this show is that it is a character study that has this attachment to a broader universe, but at the same time, I don't feel like you would need to watch this to know... If someone just said, "Oh, she's Miss Marvel," and she had this bracelet, and that when you'd have to explain how the whole thing that you're talking about in the comics, they explain it. It's a thing that no matter where you are in the universe, you'll switch places if you have the same band.
Oh, it's the nega bands.
Nega bands.
You want me to talk about those? Oh boy.
No, but what I'm saying is all you need to know is she has one of those, and Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel had one. and they switch places. That's really all you could say. Oh, and she's a mutant. Like,
Right.
that's really, which is all you could say about that.
Thanks for the not so subtle stinger.
But honestly, I don't think you need to watch it to have do the homework for the Marvels. I think it works in a way that it's pretty straightforward of like, this is who she is, because quite honestly, I was not a huge fan of the story. in the whole Jinn clandestine stuff just really brought the show down, in my opinion.
I really like the episode where they explore the partition.
Yeah, when she goes back into episode 5, she goes back into...
And they show the story of her grandma and grandpa.
That was an interesting episode. That was good. But
yeah, other than that, the story was fairly cookie cutter. Origin story.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Mm-mm.
I liked that part of it. And I just wish there was a better creative way to do her story without having this fucking... we got to go through this veil because it's this other dimension, which is now... See, what I find annoying about that is now you're going to...
Is that part of the multiverse, or is it a multi-dimension?
No, it's not. The fact that that's the thing, is the fact that like, Kevin Feige has to be like, well, okay, so here's the thing. That's a dimension and not a multiverse. And a multiverse is a different thing than a dimension. And it's like, this is what pushed people away from comics, is when you overcomplicate your universe.
Don't listen to Jay, because he thinks Kevin Feige's wife like had relations with an Inhuman.
Why else would he just completely fucking errat? Like, I'm serious.
No, man, get him out of here.
Black Bolt fucked his wife or something.
You know what is great about
it
that? So I've been kind of digging on Jake because he says it occasionally when we talk about it, and I actually read an article from somewhere else. Probably CBR.com, and I read it, and it said the same thing. Like, doesn't it seem like Kevin Feige has a personal vendetta against the Inhumans?
It's funny.
It had nothing to do with his wife, like you. Like,
no, yeah. But that's the kind of thing I'm thinking. It's like if somebody really hurt him.
You're not the only one thinking about that. See, here's the thing, and we talked about this too off the air on the phone.
Yeah.
You can't relate to the Inhumans. When they tried to take the Fantastic Four, you can relate to them because they're a family. Most people have families. The X-Men, you can relate to them
being
because
outcasts.
Yes, everybody has felt like that. Fuck, have you gone through puberty? Then everybody can read an X-Men comic book. Okay,
yeah.
But the Inhumans are a royal family in space. What's relatable? And here's the dumb thing: they tried to make them.
Moon?
Yeah, in the blue area of the moon, a place called Atalan.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only place on the moon that has oxygen. Why? We don't know. Chris Claremont said fucking so, or Jack Kirby said, I don't know. But the way they tried to make them relatable in the TV show was Medusa, whose hair is alive. By the way, really piss poor job on the CGI if you've ever tried to watch that piece of shit. But
I want to watch it just to hit. We have to do like a commentary.
They have to. Yeah, we do.
At least in one episode.
Let's do the first yeah. But they send them. They have trouble in Atalan, so they have to go to Earth, and the royal family does. They have to escape. And one of the things, I can't remember if it's her trying to disguise herself or if it just happens because she gets in it. I don't know. But they cut her hair off. So Medusa, who has this living hair, is running around with no hair, and it's like, that's not how you make them relatable. I don't know how you make the Inhumans relatable. I like the Inhumans.
Well, that's the thing is, so apparently...
But I get why
apparently the
boring as
creator
fuck.
of Kamala...
Yeah.
Or Kamala. I always mess that up because I'm used to Kamala Harris. Kamala. The creator of her, she's come out and said, since that episode released, she said, like, she was always wanted her to be a mutant anyway. Yeah. And I'm like, I guess.
Well, no, because the character came out around the time that they were trying to make the Inhumans forefront.
In like 2014, 2015, they were really pushing the Inhumans, which we talked about this. I'm pretty sure
many times we've talked about it.
Yeah, about how it's hilarious how that's reversed, where they were trying to push the Inhumans and make them the new X-Men and make them this big deal. And then the minute they got that Fox license, they said, "Okay, fuck the Inhumans. We have the X-Men now."
Again, you can't. It's just. It's just not, they're always going to be D-list.
Dude,
I'm sorry.
It makes the most sense because the X-Men are an established brand.
Yes.
They've had not only decades of comics. Whether you like them or hate them, most of them are pretty shitty. But those Fox X-Men movies made a lot of money and they're very popular.
They're pretty good for the most.
The first two,
even the shitty ones are okay.
It's like this weird Star Trek thing where you have to like pick and choose because like the first two are great.
Third one sucks.
Look, they don't hold up well, but I like them for what they did. Like it's the same with Spider-Man. Well, that's not true because Spider-Man I feel still holds up. But I'm just saying, like, if you go back and watch that.
What about the rubber running across the rooftops? Do you like that part?
Yeah. Well, I'm saying, like, if you go back and you watch the first two X-Men, you're gonna see flaws in not only the story and the acting,
but special effects
and all that stuff. But that's because we've had 20 years of 20 plus years of superhero movies now. So we have a different standard. But I like them for what they were in that time. But what I'm trying to get at is like, I know I'm going a roundabout way too.
Go for it.
What I'm trying to get at is those movies, whether people liked them or not, made a lot of money. Even X-Men Origins Wolverine, shitty movie, made a lot of money because it was
still kind of cool though.
When I saw it in high school,
movie.
I thought I was a freshman in high school and I saw that movie in theaters.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great. And then I watched it again and I was like, a couple years later, I was like, oh, this is not.
It's not good, but it's still a Wolverine movie. I mean, it has
its fun moments, but it's not good.
Yeah.
The Wolverine is much better.
Even Last Stand has its moments.
Anyway, that's what I mean. That's how uninteresting Inhumans are when we can't help but talk about good X-Men stuff because we don't. So I get it. I understand in a business sense. Yes, it makes sense that we can backdoor start working in the X-Men.
Sure.
It seems small, and it is, but I like that because that's planting a seed.
But
this is the thing. I was literally about to finish.
Fucking get there.
No, fine. It doesn't matter. I'm saying it's like phase one. It's like now it's starting to make sense. Now we're starting to get a little bit of an idea of what they're going to start doing. That's all I was trying to get at.
No, I every time I thought you were gonna finish. No, because I do the same thing. I did not want to cut you off, but I'm like, yeah.
Go ahead. The floor. I was rambling. The floor is yours.
Fuck, did I forget what I was gonna say?
We're talking about the X-Men. They're popular. They made money.
So all of you who are all pissed off, all of you Miss Marvel purists who are all pissed off that the Inhuman origins were, taken away or whatever, which actually includes Iman Vellani, believe it or not. I think, if I read that right. I might be totally wrong. You know what? I'm going to retract that because I haven't read it.
I said earlier the creator said that she wanted her to be a mutant.
I know, but I can't remember if Iman... Anyway, right. So what we're saying is, if you're a Miss Marvel purist and you're like, she's supposed to be an Inhuman, just know that if Fox had never owned the rights to X-Men, she would have never been a fucking Inhuman. Never. She would have been a mutant from the start.
No, I'm not saying I wouldn't like to see like a good Inhumans movie.
I would too, but God, man, you really have to you have to do it right. I don't know how you'd do it right.
Yeah. Well, overall, I think I really enjoyed this show. I just think there's some creative choices to me that don't make sense. It's still, I still don't get this whole construct idea because all of the shit that she did in this show, other than make this platforms, which they could have done it like in the video game, because in the video game she just stretches her arm and swings like Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Why the fuck did they do this construct? I don't get it. Because in the final episode, she does her big power-up move in Biggin. That's a big moment. Mm-hmm. And it's this purple fucking construct shit. And I'm like, there's no narrative reason why you couldn't have just made her stretchy. I don't fucking get it. Why? That's the only thing that fresh. Make her a mutant, cool, whatever. I don't care about that. The fact that they're like, no, we had to do a power change. Why? Because of, and if it's true that Feige did it because of the Mr. Fantastic shit, like they want to do Fantastic Four and they don't want two stretchy people, I'm like, it worked just fine in the comics. You have two fucking shrinking people with Ant-Man and the Wasp. You got two of every flavor, dude. You had two fucking Iron Men because War Machine. You had oh my god, don't even.
And by the way,
I'm just saying, make her stretchy.
Her embiggen powers were not like Mr. Fantastic's in the comics.
No,
so that's on you guys for not fucking figuring out a good way to make it happen on screen. Fuck you.
It's how she looks in the show, but she's just giant. She becomes giant.
fuck you guys for not taking the time and figuring it out. Seriously, that was piss poor. And also, one of the criticisms that
That's
the Green
thing I'll be
Lantern
unreasonably
movie,
mad about.
right? One of the I mean, I truly love the show a lot, but there's some creative decisions exactly like that. I'm just like, I love that we finally got to see the costume. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool costume.
Right. Yeah. The only criticism I have, which is not really, because you don't have to make him exactly like the comics. Her hair is a lot lighter shade of brown in the comics, and the only reason that it drives it home to me at all is because they show all the moments from the comics in the credits. Because I watch the credits, there's almost always like a really cool song I've never heard before, from from an artist I've never heard because I'm an American ignorant idiot.
Yes. Of course.
But
You're
they show all
swine.
they all show all the scenes from the comic books, and you can tell like in the comic book scenes that they show, her hair is like kind of more of a sandy brown. Other than that, I mean, again, it's such a small. It's not even a criticism. It's just, hey, there's that. But also, one of the things that the Green Lantern movie got really wrong.
That's how good the show is. That's what your complaint.
The uninventiveness of the constructs in the Green Lantern movie, and this show didn't get that. But honestly, all we saw was embiggen, hands, and platforms. That's it.
Which you could have done.
Do you remember anything else?
You could have done with stretchy powers too.
Oh, maybe a wall.
All of that.
Didn't she make a wall?
She made like a dome thing at the end to talk to Cameron. But whatever. Well, and that's another thing too. We're
so pissed about little.
It just. This is how you get Marvel fatigue, and this is how you get the criticism.